Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is Garland of Books and I wanted to do a video today on snow books. We had an unexpected snow here in the south and I wanted to show you some books that I think would be fun to read if it's snowy. So the first one I have here is one of the Laura Ingalls Wilder books, The Long Winter. If you've never read the Little House on the Prairie series, this is just marvelous kids series, classic children's literature and historical fiction too. Well, I guess it's her memoirs, but I think they're a little bit, I think she remembers them kindly. So history with a little bit of fiction maybe. But yeah, these are great books. So this one in particular would be great to read to yourself or with your kids when it's snowy weather and wintertime. So yeah. All right. The next one we have here is Mr. Popper's Penguins. And it's funny, a lot of these winter books, this one has a Newbery Honor, this one's a Newbery Honor. This is by Richard and Florence Atwater. This is a book, I have not actually gotten to read this one yet, but my husband has read this with my boys and they loved it. And so I'm looking forward to read it sometime this winter as well with them. They read it last year, so this year maybe I'll read it to them. So yeah, that's a great children's classic as well. All right, this is Hans Brinker and the Silver Skates by Mary Maples Dodge. This is another children's classic. I have this old kind of vintage copy of it that has some pictures in it. This is one that I'm also looking forward to reading the full version. I had a book, it's kind of like a lost book from my childhood that had stories or excerpts from different books from around the world. I remember it was a white hardcover book with no dust cover, and it was each chapter had like the flag at the beginning and which country it was from, like a traditional story from each country. And I've never been able to find it and I don't really know what its name is, but I distinctly remember reading an excerpt from this Hans Brinker, and then I was delighted to find as an adult that that was a full book and that there was more to read. So I bought this in this last year and I'm looking forward to read that. So yes, and this is set in Holland, I'm pretty sure. Yes, Holland. And it says, "There was the rich burgomaster's daughter, Hilda van Gleck." So I'll be looking forward to seeing what that part's about. Okay, I couldn't hardly do a book or a video about books about snow without including Heidi by Johanna Spyri. This is one of my new most favorite books. Yeah, this is a children's classic. This is set in the Alps, so it doesn't all happen in winter, but it has this beautiful picture I wanted to show you. In this particular chapter, she is living with the uncle up on the mountain in the wintertime, and she wants to go down and visit the grandmother, who is her friend Peter's grandmother, who is blind and can't go out, and traveling is very difficult in the wintertime, so her grandfather finds a way to help her. So every morning he takes her down in the sled, and that's a quick journey, but she's too small to make the return journey, so he would put her in a sack, I think, put her in some warm skin sack to keep her warm, and he would, at the end of the day, and carry her back up the mountain as he pulled the sled behind him because she was too little of a thing to keep warm herself or to make the return journey by herself. So that's how he was able to let her have her visits, but keep her warm as well. So anyways, it's a great snow book. Okay. This one is The Snow Queen by Hans Christian Andersen, and this one is illustrated by Christian Birmingham, who is one of my favorite illustrators. And this book is just, here's the whole cover of it. These are just fantastic illustrations. So this is an old classic story. Oh my goodness, just every page is so beautiful. Here's one where the boy and the girl have made they made a penny hot or a coin hot, and then they put it against the glass to warm it so that they could look out, that's kind of how our windows looked this morning with all the snow and frost on them. Now you can see more through them. But yeah, this is just an interesting tale. Actually, the movie Frozen was, halfway based on it. So I remember hearing that it was based on it, and I was excited about that movie before it had come out. And then after I saw it, I was like, well, this is really nothing like the Snow Queen at all. They just took the basic idea, or they, read a few sentences out of it and made their own story, which is fine. But it's funny that they call it based on this. But yes, at the beginning of it, there's like an imp or a sprite, some, naughty creature they're like flying through the air with this magic mirror or something, and it makes things, either a magic mirror or glass, and when you look through it, it makes things look bad. And I think they use it to like play tricks on people and to make them see things in a bad light, basically. But then they're flying through the air with it, these little imps or creatures at the very beginning of the book, and they shatter it. And so the way the tale goes is all the shattered pieces fall, and some of them land in people's eyes, and then those people see things in a bad kind of way, and some of them land in people's hearts, and then that I think dampens their spirits in a different kind of a way. In this case, there's these friends, this boy and girl, and a speck of this fairy glass falls one piece into his eye and one piece into his heart, and so he's very dramatically changed, and everything about him is saddened and dulled, and he's not the same boy he was, and there's not the same kind of friendship. And he is basically the Snow Queen comes to him and invites him in her sleigh, and he just goes with her and doesn't tell his friend or his family or anything, and he just goes away with her to the Snow Queen's palace. And so the little girl sets out on a journey to rescue him, to find him and to rescue him. There he is with the Snow Queen going away. I think only a few boys in the village, they were having like a dog sled race or something, and so only a few people saw, like, oh, he went away, and they didn't know where he went. So this is mostly a story of her and her adventures as she goes and tries to rescue him. And yes, this one, if I was an adult, I would not neglect to read it to myself. It'd be fun to read with a child, but I would want to read this for myself. I love fairy tales, and this one is just, his art is so beautiful. It is worth seeing. I would go to an art display of it if there was one put on at a museum. So high recommendation. All right, this next one I have is A Day on Skates by Hilda van Stockum. So she's one of my favorite artists. We're actually reading this in school as kind of part of our geography, like stories of children around the world. And this is A Day on Skates. It is a classic, just the one day in the life of children in Holland, set about turn of 1900s, early 1900s. But what it's like when it's a snowy day and it's cold enough that the ice is melted, and they're gonna get to go and skate for the first time this year. So that is, it's neat. This one is a bit of a longer one, I would say. It's between picture book and chapter book. So some of the pages are like this, and you can see it does have chapters in it. And then some of the illustrations are bigger and color illustrations, full page color. And this one is written and illustrated by Hilda van Stockum, and I believe this was her first book, and it was written in the 1930s. So yes, I would definitely recommend this. We're not all the way through it yet. We're towards the beginning, but I like it so far, and Hilda van Stockum is a great writer. So yes. All right, here's a quick one. This is Over the River and Through the Woods. It's a Thanksgiving poem by Lydia Maria Child. This one's illustrated by Christopher Manson. So yes, this is a Thanksgiving, poem or song. You probably know the song. It's usually sung at Christmas, actually. But this one's great for just wintry scenes. These are like sailboats that skate on the ice, and it's just fun. Just different scenes of children at play. Let's see, okay, here's one of my favorite ones, the boy and his dog ice fishing. So that one's a fun one. And this is a poem we love and we've memorized it at my house. I remember memorizing this years ago, I guess when I was in middle school. But yes, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. So this is just the poem slowly gone through and with illustrations, and it's just beautiful. Certainly reminds me of a day like today, the winter wonderland. There's the man he made a snow angel. But this is a poem that I just love. Miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. That's how it ends. And my son loves it too. He's memorized this poem as well. Alrighty. Here we've got Stranger in the Woods, a photographic fantasy by Carl Sams II and Jean Stoic. So these are, yes, they take photographs. So it's not illustrated, it's photographic. This one is a really fun one. It just goes through and it has a little story with all the animal creatures, but the story is really good. I like it a lot. Also, I'm pretty sure that we all learned what a chickadee looks like from these books. Here's another one. This one's called First Snow in the Woods by the same team of photographer and book writer. So yeah, both of these are awesome books. And they have more of them too. Not all of them are snowy. Real quick, we've got The Cat in the Hat Comes Back by Dr. Seuss. So if you are looking for some fun with pink snow, this is a great one to read on a snowy day. All right, here's another book that we enjoy at different times of year. This is the Millie Molly Mandy storybook, but I just wanted to mention it because it has different stories in it. And so the one I wanted to point out was Millie Molly Mandy Goes Sledging. And so they, on a snowy day, Billy Blunt and little friend Susan and Millie Molly Mandy take turns pulling the sled up to the top of the mountain, sledding off, and they also, let's see if I can show it there. There's a little girl who was having a hard time getting home, and they help take her on the sled with one of their turns when they were expecting to go down and have fun. They take her to her grandmother because it's a cold day and it's harder for her to get home from school. So this is a sweet book. This has about 8 stories in it, I think, 7 or 8 stories. There's a bigger Millie Molly Mandy book. This one's called, funny because it's called The Big. So I mean, it's wider, it has more stories, but it has fewer illustrations and not in color. So this is very beautiful and enjoyable for our family. All right, and here, this one with no cover is The Mitten by Jan Brett. Yes. And so this is just a fun little story of a boy who he wanted his grandmother to knit him mittens of Snow White, and she's like, "You're gonna lose them." And he's like, "I won't lose them, I love them." And so he goes and he drops his mitten before long. And this one's fun because she has little illustrations on the sides, and it kind of is showing other things or like what's coming and or foreshadowing. But anyways, in this one, more and more animals start fitting into his mitten that he's dropped. And so by the end of it, there's so many animals inside that it is stretched out enormously. And but he finds it on his way home and he takes it back, and then there's a funny picture at the end where his grandmother's looking at them like, one normal sized mitten and one giant mitten, what happened here? So that's a cute story. Okay, here's another one. This is Owl Moon by Jane Yolen, illustrated by John Schoenherr. There's another Caldecott medal. This one's a fun one for birding and sweet story between a father and a child going and having a special adventure together. And also it gives you that feeling of the silence of snow and how neat that is when the world is made over in snow and everything is quiet and stilled. So it really has that feeling to it. So yeah, that's a really great story. All right, and here's the last one I have here. This is Snowflake Bentley by Jacqueline Briggs Martin, illustrated by Mary Azarian. And this is a historical biography of the man who first recorded pictures of, he used a microscopic photography, a photographic microscope, I guess, to take pictures of snowflakes. And so this one is also cool because it has 2 layers of words to it. So there's kind of the little bit younger, you could read the big words to a younger child, and then for an older child, you could just read all the words. So there's kind of margins with some more words in it. Yeah, there's another example of that where it has the bigger words, and then I just often will read both. And then at the very end, it had a photograph of him and some of his photographs of snowflakes. And this is what he did for years. He would do his work every winter in, the coldest snowstorms. He'd be outside trying to catch and preserve them on little slides and slide them under his microscope and photograph them. And so he shared those with people all over the world. And now he never found any 2 that were alike. So that's how we first started seeing what they looked like. So yes. Anyways, I hope that you, wherever you are, get to enjoy a snow day and cuddle up with some hot chocolate and a book after you romp around in the snow. So thanks so much for stopping by. Bye.